Hello, this is Tom Zeppeveld from Graphileon. Today I will talk to you about granular permissions on function execution. This is a feature that we will soon release, and it allows you to have complete control over who and under which circumstances Graphileon functions are executed. On the left there is an IA function, and before Graphileon executes the function, it checks whether the required permissions are in place. Permissions, that's the rectangular node in the middle, are linked to users or teams through allow relationships. There are three ways to use granular permissions. The first one is by simply linking a permission node, that is the quote view rectangle, to the function that you want to set permissions on, and link a user through an allow relationship to the same permission. Another way of using granular permissions is based on expressions. In this case, the expression is evaluated and it determines whether the permission is granted or not. In this specific example, the user uses a quote form. On that quote form there will be a field price. The form is submitted and the price parameter is passed through the submit trigger to the create quote query. If the price is less than 10,000, the permission will be granted. Otherwise, the create quote query will not be executed. The third way of using granular permissions is pattern-based. In case of a graph database that uses Cipher, the system uses a Cipher statement to check whether a permission can be granted. And in this Cipher statement you can put any pattern or any logic as long as you have it return an allow, false or true. In this case, the create quote query will only be executed if the user has a knows relationship to the language in which the quote is written. Now let's have a look how this works in practice. Here I have a diagram that shows the logic of a simple demo. I have here a dashboard and a shortcut that fires a Cipher query that gets the quotes. When the query executes successfully, the results are visualized in a grid, and I have a batch trigger, as we call it, an action create quote that opens a form, and when the form is submitted there is this create quote query. And as you can see in this example, the create quote query requires two permissions. The first one being that there is this knows relationship to the language. So it requires that the user that creates the quote knows the language in which the quote is written. And the second one is an expression-based permission that requires that the price in the quote is less than 10,000. Now let's have a look how this runs in the Graphileon user interface. I've logged on as demo. I have selected my permission demos dashboard and I have run the query that retrieves the quotes. Now I'm going to create a quote. Quote 1, description, and I will have an amount lower than 10,000 and I will create it in Dutch. Now this returns the message permissions denied, no permission to create a quote in this language. If we look at part of the data, it is obvious that it shouldn't grant the permission because the demo user doesn't know the Dutch language. So if I now would create that relationship, and I would run it again, it is returned. You can see here the visualization of the quote. I can see the properties over here, and you can see that the quote is linked to the relation. The same, so now I can create it in Dutch. To and if I would go over 10,000, it returns this message. And the messages you can edit them yourself, because this is the message that is stored as a property in the permission nodes. So what I've shown you is that with granular permission on function executions, you have three ways to use them. From basic, connecting the node, expression-based, using an expression, and pattern-based, it's the real powerful one. So in fact, what you now have in Graphileon is all you need to control access to functionality, and without writing a single line of code, just by connecting nodes and function nodes and permission nodes and users and teams. That's the Graphileon way. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and enjoy your day.